G'day and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I want to show you how to fix a Trendelenburg hip pattern. Now, depending on how you've accrued this pattern, there are a couple of little simple things that you can do to optimize that hip function and to stop it from coming back. Now, what I want to touch on in this video is I want to go through 2 or 3 really helpful exercises to rectify that pattern, but also, as always, talk to you about the cause of that pattern so that when you've fixed it, it doesn't come back again going forwards. So for anyone who doesn't know, a Trendelenburg hip pattern is a pattern that when you are walking and standing, when you lift one leg up, that your hips drop down. And we see that this Trendelenburg hip pattern tends to be related to a relative functional weakness of your hip muscles that should be holding your pelvis level when you're walking and standing. One side drop down, and you won't be able to see this on camera, but the trunk often tends to swing the other way, that we need to fix to make sure that we load everything up normally again. What's really important to understand here is that clinically, we often relate this back to gluteal function. So we tend to say that if your glutes are inhibited or they're weak or they're injured or something like that, then they can really fail in their ability to hold that pelvis in a neutral position and allow your back and all the tissue around that to function normally going forwards. Now, obviously, if you've had a hip surgery or a hip operation or something like that where you've had some direct trauma to your glutes and the muscles in that area, then that can obviously be a real-time reason for why you're having a Trendelenburg sign. But for most people who just happen to have a Trendelenburg sign that didn't necessarily come from a direct injury, but it's something that was maybe picked up on an assessment, there is a very interesting connection that I'm finding with my patients that relates to your lower back function. A lot of gluteal weakness may not actually be a true gluteal weakness and may instead be something along the lines of an inhibition caused by the section of the spine that controls those glutes being a little bit dysfunctional on its own. So if you're someone who's trying to rid yourself of a Trendelenburg sign and restore normal motion to your hips and low back, we actually want to also take a look at your lower back to see if there's anything that's feeding into that dysfunction from above that may not be symptomatic in its own right. The first thing I want to touch on in this video is I want to show you how to figure this out for yourself. And again, if you've been a fan of the channel, you know a really great way to do this is to take a roller or a ball of some sort, tennis ball, lacrosse ball, doesn't matter. We're going to place it through a section of your lower back to find some hidden stiffnesses and tightnesses if they are there, and then we can check to see what that does on your walking pattern. So before we get to using this foam roller, we want to make sure that we take a couple of baseline measurements to see what effect, if any, this is having on your Trendelenburg sign. So the first thing we want to do, obviously, is get you to stand up and you put a video camera in front of you or take a couple of photos and just walk towards the camera or walk towards someone and get them to have a look at how you're actually moving. Is your trunk bending off to one side? Do you look at the levels of your hip bones? Are they dropping as you're walking from leg to leg or on one particular side? But we also want to take note of how strong and active those glutes are to begin with. So what we're going to get you to do here is lying directly on your side, maybe a fraction forwards, leading with your heel, so not having your foot turned up, having your sort of heel pointed up and your foot turned down. Just going to get you to do 5 or 10 leg raises, side-lying leg raises, just to get a sense of how strong you feel, maybe how shaky it feels. Another way that you can do this is get someone to put some pressure on your feet and then just try and push them off. And then take note of how easy or hard that feels for you. They can do the same thing. Take note of how much pressure you can put through them as you lift that up. And then do the same thing with the clam exercise, where if you keep your feet together, bend your hips and knees up, you can then just lift that top leg up 5 or 10 times to get a sense of how this feels. Again, making sure that you don't roll backwards, make sure that your trunk stays still. Just lift that knee up a couple of centimeters or a couple of inches. If you have a partner, get them to place their hands on your top knee, then try and open that top leg as hard as you feel you can. Take note of how strong that feels. So once you know exactly how they feel, you're going to take the foam roller and we're going to place the foam roller across on the ground. We're not going sort of up and down, we're going straight across here. And the section that we're looking for here in your lower back is we're not necessarily as interested in the base of your spine, we're more interested in the base of your rib cage and the top of your lower back. There's a section in that area that when stiff can sort of inhibit and deactivate, I guess, those muscles to the point where it can feed into this Trendelenburg sign. So a really easy way to figure this out for yourself is by freeing this section up. We can then recheck those 3 tests that we've hopefully done beforehand. You can see exactly what, if anything, has changed based on that section of your back. All I want you to do here is I just want you to place the roller at the junction of your spine to begin with. Now you can stay in this position if it feels comfortable. You can have your hands behind your neck. You can bridge up if you feel comfortable as well. You can also drop your head down onto a pillow or something like that. If you feel like this is the most comfortable for you, choose a position that works best for you. I enjoy this one because I'll drop my hips down because I'm relatively flexible to find that stiff section. Now, once you've found a section that feels a little bit stiff for you, if you rotate your body to one side a little bit and then compare it to the other side, you get a strong sense of where, if anything, is actually stiff. One side will feel like it maybe doesn't sink in as well. The other side will feel a little bit softer. There may be a little bit more tenderness attached to that stiffness than there will be on the other side. All I want you to do is find a spot that you feel is a little bit rusty, a little bit stiff, a little bit restricted. Spend some time letting the ball or the roller press in until you feel like it starts to give a little bit. If you want to try and capture some of the muscular tightness over the top here, if you squeeze your glutes, squeeze your abs, squeeze your back muscles, tense everything up, contract them for a few seconds. When you relax and release, you hopefully feel like it gives a little bit more. And then just systematically work up and down and around that area, looking for the things that you feel are a little bit stiffer and tighter than they need to be. And then with the help of a friend again or by yourself, immediately recheck how all of this feels. What I can actually feel here is it felt a tiny little bit shaky on the way down. Doesn't feel as challenging or as fatiguing as it did beforehand when I'm doing the abduction exercise. And now when I'm doing the hip external rotation exercise, the clam exercise, it feels like I have more strength and endurance in this motion than I did before. And if I had something to test my strength, I would feel confident that it feels like I'm immediately stronger than I was before. All we're doing here is taking away potentially a hidden handbrake that's sort of inhibiting the function of those glutes and potentially allowing the pelvis not to do its role in feeding into that Trendelenburg sign. So obviously again, stand up, walk towards the camera, walk in front of someone, just see if you feel as topsy-turvy or sort of lopsided when you're walking, just based on doing that. I feel like that's a hidden piece of the puzzle that a lot of people experience who have non-traumatic related Trendelenburg signs. And I think it's a really helpful way to understand the broader context of why those glutes may not be doing what they're supposed to do. Take that to your relevant health professional, take it to your doctor, let them know that it got better when you did that, and they can hopefully factor that into your rehab and tweak things a little bit so you can have a much bigger, better rehab over time, long term. Now, the two other things that we want to go through with this is we do want to make sure that we're still focusing on improving the strength of the muscles in that area. We've pretty much done them already, but the two exercises that we're going to touch on are the clam and the side-lying hip abduction exercises. But just to reassure you as to how to do these, one of the things that I want to try and promote is basically being very particular with how you do the exercise. So a lot of people, when they'll do this, they know to lift their leg out straight, but the position that your hip and leg is in, as Doc's not finding that very interesting, the main thing is that we're targeting the right muscles. So in order to find the right muscles for this side-lying hip abduction exercise, you press your finger into your hip bone at the side of the hip, we come up from this point. This is generally where that glute med, glute min, those muscles will reside. If you're leaning a little bit further forward than horizontal, making sure you're digging your finger in there, and again, by turning your foot down and lifting your leg straight up, you should feel these muscles doing the work. Now, depending on who you're seeing or who's looking after your care, they might ask you to hold this position. They might ask you to do repetitions of going up and down. For me, it doesn't matter as much for me in terms of which version you choose. I just want you to feel some decent fatigue here when you do that. Making sure that you're feeling it underneath where you've got your finger pushed in. If you do feel like you're rolling back too much to come up too high, you will feel a lot more activation happening at the front of the hip, more towards that TFL, those hip flexors. Ideally, you want to be on your side, if not a little bit forward, leaning with your heel. You might find that you're only coming up just past horizontal. The higher you go, the more likely you are to try and bend your back and hike your hip to get up higher. All of that's irrelevant. We just need to feel some fatigue in that area. Then obviously with the clam exercise, it's the exact same concept, except this time your feet are together, your knees are bent up a little bit. This time we want to get you to find this the bony bit at the side of your hip, and instead of coming up towards those glutes, You want to track back towards your back pocket, towards that piriformis area. This is where your hip external rotators tend to reside, so that when you're lifting that top leg up, you should feel these muscles activate back there. Same thing as the first exercise. We don't want you to roll back. We don't want you to lift your legs up too high, because that will shift the line of force towards the front of your hip. It's going to take the onus off those muscles. So make sure that you're almost leaning forward a little bit. Again, don't lift that top knee up too high. I like to get my patients to think of taking their top knee out and up. That slight change in cueing can really help you focus on getting those muscles to work. Same deal as before. Do enough of these to fatigue you, or hold this for long enough to fatigue you. Make sure that you're walking away with some genuine fatigue in those areas. But ultimately, strengthening the muscles around the hip is the classic way of trying to rejig that Trendelenburg sign to give your body the ability to hold that pelvis in a good position and stop your trunk from having to overcorrect at the top. But as I said, I want to make sure that we look at that in context with what's going on at your lower back to make sure that we understand why we're actually doing these glute exercises in the first place. So with that being said, I hope that was helpful. There's a bunch of other things you can potentially do for your Trendelenburg sign. Let me know in the comments down below what else you might have been doing, what you've been told to do. It's nice because it might help someone else along the way. If you found this genuinely helpful, consider liking the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. If this was a groundbreaking discovery for you, please consider leaving a super thanks donation. It's just a great way to help support the channel going forwards. With that being said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.